And there you go.
That's a good one. Well delivered. Well delivered.
Welcome back to the last episode of the year, 201. You said you had something about your last hour, but then also other content,
So
give it to me.
So this is the story of the life of a handyman.
Is that you?
I have. That would be.
You're the handyman?
I have been ill for a few days. I was down with a bad cold.
Oh, no.
And 3 days later, I thought, well, I feel good enough that I can go to work. And I go to work over at the guy's house. And I got to pick up my granddaughter at school at 2:15. And I can't be late. And it all works out well. I get there at 11:15. I work. All the work I had planned, I get it done. I get down to the last 15 minutes. I'm hanging pictures, which means I'm leveling them two different ways and, making choices.
Are you drilling and putting in anchors and shit?
I'm drilling and I'm putting in a longer nail with a head on it because the picture hook is just very jagged little teeth.
But not anchors with
No.
Okay.
No, none of that. It's just a very simple inserted nail. But I had to fix all the frames so that they would hang in there. But this is immaterial. This isn't to the detail. So I'm looking at my clock and I'm saying, well, it's only going to take me less than 10 minutes to get to the school. I can't be late, so I got to be on time. And I get down to the last picture. I have 3 minutes. And I think I'm going to get this done. Bing, bong,
Tick-tock.
boom, measure it. It goes up right the first time. Have time to clean up my tools.
famous last words.
Go outside, walk to my truck, get in the truck, get behind the driver's seat, and say, oh shit, I brought the wrong car to work. I need the car with the child seat.
Ruh-roh.
Not my truck full of tools and blah, blah, blah. Well, I can't be late. I'll figure this out. I know where I'm going. I'll get there. I'll just call my wife and maybe I can strap the child in, but I don't know. And just get there on time. I get there on time. I park the truck. I go stand at the appointed place. The children are streaming out.
Sure.
I don't see my granddaughter.
Oh, no.
It's kind of chaos. Another door, they're streaming out. A third door, they're streaming out. But they're not streaming out. I don't see it with her door. I walk through the crowd once. I walk through the crowd of children twice. And I say out loud, as if someone will hear, and someone did. And I thought they thought I was a crazy man because I said,
Where's my
out
granddaughter?
loud, This is chaos. And I started walking back, and I thought, well, I ask. Obviously, I know her name. I don't know what grade she's in. She's in first grade. She's 6. She's in first grade. Well, no, she's not, actually. And as I'm doing this, and I'm looking around, a woman comes up to me and is holding the hand of my granddaughter. Mm-hmm. And I say, well, hello. And she says, hello. And we go, and I say, Grandpa didn't make a very good plan. We have a few problems. I said, number one, look at what I drove. And she said, your truck. And I said, it doesn't have a car seat. And she said, uh-oh, what are you going to do?
Oh, Grandpa.
And I said, we're going to walk to your house, which is only 3 blocks away, and we're going to get a wagon. I was going to call my wife.
A wagon.
I was going to call my wife. I had forgot my phone at my job site.
Of course.
So now I got the wrong card. I don't have a phone. I go to her house, and I think, well, I'll just hang at her house with her till her mom comes home. Can't do that. The cleaners are there. 2 women cleaning the whole house. We'd just be in the way. I said, all right, well, we'll just take a wagon. So we walk well over a mile.
What do you mean wagon? What do you mean?
A 4-wheeled wagon that I put my granddaughter in and pulled her. One of those carts.
Okay.
That you put children in. Fit 2 kids if you needed it.
Yeah, okay.
They fold up, and they got big wheels, and they're very mobile.
Okay.
And fit for this purpose.
It's not a red flyer wagon.
Oh, no.
It's a...
No, this is canvas.
Nor is it a station wagon.
Plastic.
Okay.
No. So, but the hill is like this.
Are we dealing with snow on the ground?
No, just cold.
Okay.
So not only did I forget my gloves, it's 32 degrees, it's chilly, and with a breeze. I have on a vest that means I'm in my shirt sleeves plus a vest. I left my coat in my truck.
Good grief.
Now that I'm partway home.
You're a clever boy.
And, oh, my wallet's there too. I better not leave the truck there too long. Pull her up the hill. I get there, and my wife's like, "Where you been? Steve has your phone." And I said, "It's a long story, but I'm tired." And I told her the story. But George, at one point, I couldn't go up the hill. I had a bum leg. I had a brace on it for 2 days because I did roofing work, so I didn't have my brace on.
Jesus
I didn't
Christ,
have
Dennis.
on my walking sneakers. I had on my work shoes. And so I start to get a hitch
There's like 25 different
in my
fuck-ups
right
here.
knee. And I stop the wagon and I look at my granddaughter who's 6 and I said, "Is there any way you could get out for a while and push?" And she said, "Oh, let me think
Nah.
about it." Then she jumped out and she pushed the wagon with me up the worst part of the hill.
Wow.
This was truly a big girl move on her part. That's my story.
That's impressive. What a series of fuck-ups on your part, and also everything came out okay. Which is just like...
As it turns out. And my daughter, ever the silver lining in the cloud, says, "Well, because you have a cold, one of the best things you can do is have a aerobic walk in the cold." That's what my doctor told me. I said, "Well, check." and actually, this cold I was flat out on my back. I could not even function, sneezing and dripping and just coughing and miserable.
Nice.
And I was hungry enough to eat, but I read a whole book. The book is called, by the way, The Book of Longings. And it reimagines Jesus at the age of 20 when he met the woman that he would marry. And it's their life together for the next 13 years.
Whoa.
The man side, written by Monk Kidd, Sue Monk Kidd, who's quite famous for The Secret Life of Bees.
Okay.
Which was a bestseller and turned into a movie starring Queen Latifah as the eldest, as
Queen Bee.
the sister.
Yeah.
You know the movie, you know the book.
No. But I know that she's
well, it
referred
is
to as
Queen
Queen
Bee.
Bee sometimes.
Yeah, there you go. And so it's a story of her with Dakota Fanning as a young child, 6, 7 years old, maybe even 8, who comes to live with these sisters.
Did she have to push a wagon up a hill?
Bees. That's the connection. That's the connection. They yes, and the wagon was full of beehives. And
Now I get it.
And at that time, her favorite artist was Sting, for reasons I'm not sure. I need to explain.
Amazing. Well, yes. Roxanne. Yes. Great.
Roxanne.
Very cool. Interesting afternoon you've had. I also boy, do I have afternoons where everything is just like a mistake on a mistake on a mistake. My most recent, let's go back temporarily. My most recent mistake was on yesterday. I had to take my daughter to have an allergy checkup, but I had to take her to a hospital that is like a 40-minute drive away. So we only have one car, and so my wife was able to hitch a ride with a coworker of hers that drives. My wife normally drives like half an hour to work, and she has this coworker that drives like an hour to work and passes right by us. And why she doesn't go with him every day, I don't know. But so she was able to leave the car with me so that I could go and take my daughter to the hospital. And just the morning commute traffic, it just made me want to puke. Like,
And did you make bad decisions about which way to go?
No. We went the direct way, but it was just, there's so many freaking people trying to get into the city at that time, and it just...
Which city?
Santander is the name of the city. But it just made me appreciate my zero commute lifestyle. But anyway, we got there. There was a lot of bumper to bumper traffic, and so we were slightly late. But we ended up getting to the waiting room 13 minutes after the appointment was supposed to be, which is plenty early with doctors in waiting rooms and stuff.
You mean even though you were late, you were early? That kind of thing?
Yeah, if we had been right on time at 9 a.m.,
you'd be waiting.
We would have been waiting for the next 25 minutes. Instead, we got there at 9:12, and we waited for 13 minutes.
Right.
But it was... and my daughter, who's 14, is super engrossed in the TV show Grey's Anatomy, which I don't know if you've seen any of that.
Your image is frozen, bro.
Yeah.
There it is.
My daughter loves the TV show Grey's Anatomy,
which was George Clooney's beginning.
Wrong. That was ER. Grey's Anatomy was 10 years later. It's a Shonda Rhimes creation, and I think it's done now, but it went for 18 years. Stupid.
Wow.
Longevity. But so I was in ER. I had a phase when I first moved to England in the year 2002. I watched a bunch of Grey's Anatomy, a bunch of ER, it was on every day. And
that's that show. How many days a week?
I think it was just once a week, but by the time I was watching it, it was syndicated once a day, and I got deep.
You could really binge.
I got deep into those characters, and it was.
Who besides George Clooney was as memorable then?
Actors that I could name, I don't. Pyle, there's a Nathan Pyle or something. I can't name any of the actors, but you would recognize them in other places. Margolyes. There's an actress that also did other things. But it was, I remember that was such a dramatic TV show, and I had a friend that told me, look, I used to be addicted to ER, and then my husband told me, why do you watch this show that leaves you crying at the end of every episode? And then my friend said, maybe I don't need to do that to myself. But I totally relate to that. ER was super fucking gripping, and from what I can tell from
and who would reject a cathartic experience which was so pleasurable enough that you were addicted to it? I mean that doesn't sound like a...
I also don't. I'm not entirely against ritual drama induced tears. But also, you can get too deep into a world where I don't know. It's every episode there was someone that was dying that they were able to make you really care about, and therefore you were crying. And
as intended.
Exactly. And
a tearjerker.
And ER, yeah, exactly.
And he was a heartthrob.
Well, but ER was a creation of Michael Crichton back in the day.
Oh, really?
And
I didn't know
that. Anyway, my
Agent Green. What was his book about Agent Green? Solvent Green.
No.
Michael Crichton and Solvent Green. That was the name of the book. You don't know
You're
about this?
Thinking of Soylent Green, which is not.
Soylent Green,
Michael
yes. Who is it?
I don't know. It's not Michael Crichton.
You don't know, and you don't want to talk about it. Fine. Go on with your story. Go ahead. I'm all ears. Blah, blah, blah. Go ahead.
Michael Crichton. Soylent Green was by Richard Fleischer. And there was a movie starring Charlton Heston, of course. Anyway.
What? Oh, wait. No, I'm way off. That's...
But
Anyway.
Yes. So anyway, my... Popping things off the stack here. My daughter's really into this hospital drama, and like to the point where she like is considering a career as a surgeon or something.
Right.
And so she had a delightful time being in a real hospital with people wearing scrubs and Crocs and shit. And she was like, "Oh wow, it's like, look, there's someone in a lab coat."
Can we take a ride on one of those tables, Daddy?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, jump on.
So anyway, we got there, and let's see. Getting back to my failure, we got there and we were sitting there in the waiting room waiting for our number to be called, and I had our sheet of paper that said you need to be here on the 12th of December. And I had that displayed in our kitchen for like 2 months because that was when they gave us the appointment. And there in the waiting room, I unfolded it, and it said at the bottom, "By the way, make sure you don't take any allergy medicine for the previous 5 days before the appointment."
Oh my God! And she had that.
And she hadn't until literally the day before, because like we'd run out of her pills, and she was like, "Daddy, I need more pills," and so I had gone, and she hesitated. She almost didn't take them, but then she did the day before. So we got into the doctor, and the doctor, it was the first. Literally every doctor I've been to in Spain with my children and for myself, they have all been women. I've never seen a single male doctor, which is great, I guess. But this was the first one that could touch type. She could type without looking at the keyboard. Normally, the doctors are like boop, 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 with their index fingers.
This was a woman doctor as well?
Yes.
And I thought you were going to say it was a male.
No.
First one ever, but
no. She was the first one I've ever seen with the ability to not look at the keyboard.
That's interesting.
And she asked a bunch of questions.
I was one of the best typists in high school.
You were?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, it came in handy later when I was writing so much.
Indeed. And it, anyway, it was like we got to the end, she asked a bunch of questions, and then she was like, "So, have you abstained from medication for the last 5 days?" And we were like, "No, sorry, not really." And she was like, "Well, fuck. In that case, we can't do the tests that we were going to do, because if you have medication, we can get false negatives and shit. So we're going to have to schedule you another appointment." So you need to go across the hall and wait in the little children's waiting room area, and then someone will come and give you a new appointment. So we went across the hall, and we sat there for like 20 minutes, and then I sort of like started to wander out into the hall, wondering if anyone was coming. And I know, and then our doctor came out of her little consultant room, and I was like, "What the fuck? We're still waiting here." And she got visibly upset at her nurse that was supposed to have come and talk to us. And the nurse came up to us. She went to find the nurse, and the nurse came back to us and was like, "Oh, sorry, I totally forgot all about you. Like, I would have let you sit there the entire fucking day if you hadn't come and said anything. No, we're gonna send you a letter that's gonna give you your next appointment."
You didn't say that.
And so it was.
Oh, I thought you were going to write a letter.
No.
To complain about her.
Like, she said you should have left already. We are going to send you a letter. So.
Oh Lord.
Anyway, that was my most recent
better next time.
But I have others.
That's a big one. That's a 40-minute drive. The thing I did was, all in all, from beginning to end, it went from 2:00 until 10 after 3. So all that happened in an hour and 10 minutes, including the walk up the hill, which my back will be paying for.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh dear. So I recovered from my my bronchitis, and I'd had it for 7 going on 8 weeks, and I was in the final throes of it, and then I caught a cold and was down and out. But now I'm coming back, and now the lingering cough I had at the end of my other ailment now is kind of returned.
Great.
But I feel so much better. I couldn't get out of bed, man. I was like, just to eat and go to the bathroom. That was it. Otherwise, I was out. I read that whole book that I told you about, the Book of Longings. It is really, Sue Monk Kid, it is really, really, really kind of riveting and realistic. And
more than Cormac McCarthy.
Now then, you asked me a question that takes me to the edge, and the edge is the beginning and the end at the same time, and the canyon is deep, and the flowers were blooming, and I smelled God in the wind, and the earth shook, and I wondered why, and I said, no, not as good as Cormac McCarthy.
Okay. Good answer.
Right. Pithy.
I have another story involving cheese, if you'd like to hear that one.
Well, I can't wait. Is it odoriferous?
It's somewhat, yes. So last, and I mentioned this here, I will find the link to the episode where I mentioned this for the show notes. But I mentioned that I discovered that near where I live here, and by near I mean 50-minute drive, not 15, 50 minute drive away, there is a husband and wife cheese manufacturing cabin where,
of course there is,
of
course there is.
I mean,
in your just amazing little life,
hold on, it
just so happens
it gets more amazing.
In Spain, cheesemaker and his wife,
yes,
in a cottage.
Yes, so for sure there that.
Do you wear knickers when you go on these trips? Woolen knickers and high socks. Of course. I just wonder.
But there's for sure that statement is true for much nearer by where I am. But this particular place, the wife of the husband and wife team is from a little town called Hickory, North Carolina.
Oh.
And
I know the story.
And she met him I don't know exactly how they met. He was in the States for a while. They lived for a while in Asheville for several years, and like he knows Morganton and he knows Fontaflora and that culture, and so I finally made an appointment to go with my family to visit his little establishment and meet them. And last Friday, which was a holiday in Spain, the Immaculate Conception, which
Oh, yeah. Sure it was.
which all Catholics
Yes.
don't understand.
And I want to intercede at the end of your story. I want to bring that part of the book I read and tell you how she handled it. So go ahead.
Okay. First, I want to.
So there you are.
First, I want to embarrass you about the fact that you don't know what the Immaculate Conception is.
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is it?
It is the idea that Mary was impregnated not by a man, but through a miracle enacted by God Himself.
Okay.
And
Let me stop you there.
So why wouldn't I know that? I went to
Let me stop you there.
Catholic school till I was 15.
Let me stop you
16
there.
years old.
You like all the
Yes.
other Catholics are wrong.
Oh,
The Immaculate Conception is an idea that was formulated way after the idea of the virgin birth of Jesus, that is about the virgin birth of Mary, because Mary couldn't have been so filthy as to have been conceived of actual sexual congress. The Immaculate Conception,
well put. Just you mentioning it just makes my imagination wander.
the Immaculate Conception
Congress.
is the doctrine that Jesus' grandmother was also a virgin.
It goes that far back.
That is the definition of the Immaculate Conception. The other bit about Mary being a virgin is a different doctrine, but the Immaculate Conception is about Mary's mother being a virgin. So, anyway, it's a fun thing that I like to point out because everyone gets it wrong. But you
Well,
can.
so
can
you
look it up.
must enjoy that.
I enjoy that so much. So anyway, that was last Friday, and so we went to this little cabin, and it wasn't a normal day where you could go and have a cheese platter. They had organized this this visit for people to come and have this guide that was this sort of like hippie lady that thinks that like all plants are magical, man, and like plants are, you know, what life, blah blah blah, and so she took us out on this walk. Luckily, it really looked like it was going to be raining the whole day, but then it wasn't. It was okay. So we went on this walk just on the side of the road, and on the side of the road, she jumped down into the ditch on the side of the road, and was like, okay, let's look at all these plants here. This plant,
But what?
This plant here, clover, for example. Which, you know, everyone try and find an example of a 3-leaf clover. And we all did, and she was like, okay, some of these are actually clover, and some of these are plants mimicking clover.
False clover, as it's known.
Yes, false clover. That should be their episode title. The actual clover,
I had an uncle who that was his name. False clover.
well, maybe he wasn't a good lover. Anyway, so the actual clover has like a little white V on each of the little
And the false clover
doesn't.
has no V.
Yes, but so and the clover you can. She was teaching
clever.
us like this plant you can totally eat and it's totally safe. This plant that looks exactly like the same plant that looks really much like the same plant will kill you. And so she was like,
Wow.
She was like, here are the 2 plants, and then she like put one of them in her mouth.
She died on the spot.
And
Well,
and so it was
it's clever to look at clover more closer.
indeed. And so, but we ended up looking at nettles. Do we have nettles?
Yes.
Do we have nettles in the States?
Yes, I grow them. In fact, I grow nettles in my garden.
Okay.
Little spurry, spiny things that you break them apart and you eat the seeds, and you use the other part of it, the spiny part of it, to make nettle tea,
Okay.
which has curative aspects.
But they're a thing that that if you touch them the wrong way, then your hand hurts for the rest of the day.
you get a it's like
A sting.
porcupine.
Yeah. So, one of our big parts of the day was learning how to touch and harvest these nettles, and then we took them back, and then we made like recipes with them. This woman claimed.
And how does this related to cheese?
So, good question. We had cheese that was fermented with nettles as part of it, but also we just did these sort of recipes. Like we did some quesadillas and some like fried nettles and stuff. And
which part of the nettle did you use?
so I was tasked. I was on the team that we had to take these nettles and sort of scrape them with a paper towel, not so much to get rid of the little spiny bits, but to make sure that there weren't any bugs or anything on them. And then we would put them in the frying pan, and we made like some little quesadillas, sort of.
And so you fried them crisp enough that whatever was spiky just became crispy.
She told us that when they don't sting as much in your mouth. And also if you cut them really tight into really small pieces, then you can eat them eat them raw. But she told us that nettles, and I have not fact checked this at all. She claimed that nettles have like all the like amino acids and shit that like the human body needs. Like they're like the perfect food if they weren't so fucking spiky.
But weren't there seeds inside of them?
But if you cook them, then they lose all of those properties.
Well, I wonder if the spikes did you fry them crispy?
So we divided into several groups, and each group made a different recipe, and one of them made like tempura fried crispy versions of them. But it was just really interesting. And then there was like plenty of cheese to be had. And
did people in the class, then did you eat cheese?
we did.
Did you have, and what was that like?
The cheese was very, very good.
How many different kinds, and did they serve it with any salami or ham?
No, there was no meats provided with the cheese. There were like 3 different kinds of cheese and
wine.
So because these are like super hipster people, they had kombucha that they served us.
Was it alcoholic kombucha or just
no?
Organic?
It was
kombucha?
organic kombucha. The one was hibiscus and nettles, and the other was.
Here we go. Did you take a sip and say, "All right, enough with the nettles already"?
And there was another one that was lemon and something.
Lord.
But then we chose to have lunch there as well. Like our tour wasn't an official lunch. It was just here, let's all eat some stuff. But we were more or less full by the time that was done. But then we sat down to have lunch too, and we ordered platter of cheese that was.
And
fine.
you and your wife went, your better half.
My wife and my kids.
Oh, all four of
Yes,
you. Wow.
the kids. First of all, my wife was very amused by the whole learning about plants thing. Like that's her sort of thing. And just doing a different thing on a day where we are spending time outside learning about nature and shit.
That is so cool, man.
But the lady that was teaching us about all the plants, like, she was really interesting and seemed so scientific, and then she started wandering into like homeopathy and stuff, and it was like, okay, you don't really understand science. So
it sounds like a blast. And so that's a 50-minute drive, and then you came home. When did you get home? Did you home by dark?
Yes, by dark.
And you went home and you ate dinner at home?
We were pretty full.
From the cheese?
Yes.
And the kombucha?
Oh, and also
Kombucha fill you up in a minute, man.
I because I want to support this little venture, I signed up a couple weeks ago as a member. So I paid like $100, and I get so I'm gonna get like 4 quarterly little boxes of cheese that they send out. But it's such a cute little operation.
You'd be like the cheese scene in Succession when the old lady, their mother, and her new husband, who put on airs that he had cheese in the fridge, and the children were hungry, and she said there was lettuce, but don't touch the cheeses. And then when she left, they gorged themselves, had a food fight with the cheeses. You remember? And then the mother came in and talked to them why they would do that, and it was quite the episode.
But it was
they got lots of they got 9 nominations for Golden Globe. The most ever is 11. I'll have to recall which one got 11.
That's got to be
familiar.
Sopranos or something.
No. But at any rate, it's quite a few. But
hold on,
I read an article that.
Hold on, just to finish my cheese story.
I'm
it was
sorry.
It was super adorable to hear my wife, who is an expert in milk safety, just quiz these people on. But do you worry about this streptococcus and this other bacteria and this other thing, and like, do you do these tests, and does the government require this test? And the guy was just like, yeah, we do that, but we don't do that one because we're too little. And anyway, it was
interesting.
Because she's a
and nobody looked at her and said, "What are you, a smart ass?" Oh, which let me segue from this into whatever I was going to talk about. Who cares? Tommy DeVito. So this dude, man, he was back in high school and college, small college. He was in New Jersey. He was a quarterback hero, and he grew up 4 blocks from MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, where the Giants, New York Giants, play. Even though the New York team they're housed in New Jersey, right across the river. And they had quarterback problems and ended up drafting this kid who is, let's talk about living the dream. He grew up 4 blocks from there. He always wanted to play for the NFL. He's playing 4 blocks from his house, and he played so well. And at one clip, they showed his father, his brother, and his agent and his agent was dressed all in black, black suit, black tie, black hat, right, and an amulet of some kind. And his dad, obviously very Italian, and they were doing this, the Italian sign for, hey, what's up? Well, what you doing? Well, what you doing? That's what his sign is when he does good stuff on the field. He goes like this.
That's with his pinching of
and
the
they
fingers
showed,
and describing
like,
it.
Hey, what's and so everybody in the crowd is doing it, and they're showing his family doing it, and then his father kisses both men on either side of him on the cheek, and there's a lot of shit over the fucking internet about this, and
about Italians kissing each other on the cheek.
Well, it's funny. It's just a very family oriented. The Giants won, and on his back, and they were not expected to win. They played the Packers, who've got a new quarterback. Blah blah blah. But anyway, whatever. Tommy DeVito. It's fun to look at it. He's like, this is the life, and they won. It was great. It was a celebration. Here's the Tommy.
That's such a great mafia name. Hey, Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito. Hey Tommy. Hey, where's your dad? Danny DeVito. Remember him?
Yeah. Thank you. Where's your receiver, Tommy?
Tommy. It was fun to watch that. So I watched the next episode of the mayor of
the mayor of your memory, man.
I'm so, because I want to say Easttown.
Yes.
Because what you did, you planted that in my head, Mar of Easttown, and I got confused with mayor of, but it's set in Michigan. But you know the story. You didn't do your homework at all.
No, I have
You don't have a minute.
I have shit to do.
Well, it's different now that your schedule is normalized. Because in your other schedule, you had more time for that. Because after you got done with work, it was 11 o'clock at night, everybody in your family was in bed. So you might watch a movie to wind down.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago, but yes. Yeah. I still have some time. I've been watching some John Oliver. That's kind of... It is what it is.
You want to see something crazy?
We have to talk about the future, not just the past.
The what?
The future. The future.
The what?
Future.
The future?
Future. Whoa.
You mean 2025? 2024?
2024. So this is going to be our last episode of this year. Sadly. Because... Once again,
you're going to the Canary Islands.
The fucking Canary Islands. Different island.
You're such a dick.
Different island.
You and your stupid vacations.
Yes. Different island this year.
I may go to Nuevo again.
Well, good for you. We're going to Lanzarote, which is a different island. Lanzarote.
Different island.
Yeah.
This one is got a sun.
Well, it's in our previous times, it's been like, boy, this is warm, but it's not like let's all jump in the pool kind of warm. It's not 85 degrees. It's like 73 degrees.
Oh. You want it? What do you want it? 85.
Yeah. So. So anyway, we're going to go next. This time next week, I will be in the air over Portugal or the Atlantic on my way there, and then the next week later, I'll be on my way back. So we're gonna miss the next 2 weeks, and then. Well,
we did meet our milestone of 200 episodes. This is 201. Is that true?
Indeed.
That's 201 hours of inanity. some good burping. I'm doing some good burping tonight, boy. Those are, you know,
We're
I
reaching a
tell
new
you a
high.
funny story. I thought about this the other day. I was in this play some 20 years ago. And you may know the play, but one of the, I'll remember the name of it, but at one point,
Was it Shakespearean
the
burping?
character I played was a big fat man who was in charge of this orphanage, and one of these little boys with blonde hair came up to me and held a bowl in front of me.
End of the play.
And he said, "Can I have more, sir?" And I was dressed as a fat man with a fat bodysuit. I wrapped scarves around my head. I had a wig, so I actually looked pretty big, and I hid my neck so that would be one place that would give it away, right? And,
Your super
and
thin
my
neck.
response to the child was, "More? You want more?" You know, and there was some music.
Fuck off, kid.
And one of the things that I needed to do was immediately before that scene, when I basically went into the chow
burp.
hall, I was, well, to manage it, I was somehow having a conversation, or I was in my room, or it was a soliloquy to the audience or whatever, but I needed to burp. So these last two burps I gave were very good burps. I cannot, like many men I know, some men I know, I cannot burp at will.
No.
Some are blessed with that feature. I know a man who can fart at will.
That's wild.
He swallows air,
No.
works it through his intestines, and then farts at will. Yes, he does.
It's not. It doesn't
But
come
burping
through.
at will.
No.
But burping at will.
I
However he does it, he does it. Burping at will is like easy for him. And so what I tried to do to burp on cue was I worked into the script that I was drinking. And what was in there was seltzer water.
Yes.
Right?
good.
And I'm drinking great quantities. Every night that we had a show, here we go. Every night we had a show, the best I could do for the burp when I tried to burp was go, eh. It was ridiculous, embarrassing, hard to hear. Not like those wonderful burps I just gave. God, they were good. We need to record them. Well, here you go.
They're recorded.
They are recorded. It's like a burp heaven.
I distinctly remember where it was when I learned to burp at will. It was.
You can do it. You can't do it. Burp at will, right?
It was during my job in Denmark, where I was doing just the most boring crap, but I learned to do the thing where there's a muscle that you do in your
throat.
In your throat, I guess. That lets you pull that in or something.
Well,
but
I am so jealous.
Anyway.
If I only had that skill 30 years ago when I was in that play. Oh, what a dipshit.
But I just want to share you know how everyone has a different cure for the hiccups?
Yes.
The last one that I've heard that I have been respecting, because people are all like, drink water upside down and blah, 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 blah. If you know how to drink water in a way where you gulp fast enough to get enough air so that you need to burp, doing that and then burping is, according to this theory, enough for a cure.
So my solution.
And I've tried this. I've tried this 4 times. I don't have hiccups that often, thankfully. But I've tried this like 4 or 5 times, and it's worked every time.
And it's worked for you. Let me tell you what works for me. I count the space of time between a hiccup. And then I count the space and count one or two before the typical count. I hold my breath as long as I can. And when I'm holding my breath, I cannot hiccup.
Right.
So it passes.
As far as I understand it, it's a spasm of the diaphragm is what causes hiccups, and yes, holding your breath. That used to be my solution, but I would do that right after I had a hiccup,
Right.
and then I can't make it.
Hey, I told you about my trip to the ER, right?
Which one?
Oh, that's funny.
With your hand? That was
No,
episode
with
2.
my heart. Recently, my heartbeat went up to 160 a minute.
Maybe. Go.
God, you mean if I told you that story, you wouldn't remember it?
Well, tell me again. I might.
No, I was laying in bed and I felt like I was having a chest spasm, a muscle spasm in my chest. Right. And I realized that it was my heart. It was beating twice as fast as normal. I got up, I felt it, and I said, oh, my arm feels a little sore too. I said, this is serious. So I called virtual ER, which,
What is that?
took about 10 minutes, and was online with him, did a Google with him, or a telephone call, I should say. And they said, this and that and the other. And I said, listen, I got a monitor on my finger. It's 160. And when I told them that my oxygen absorption had gone down from 97, 96, 97 to 92, they said, come on in. And I went in.
That's scary.
And they rushed me right through, said a couple of things, showed a card, went in, doctor came in, everybody hooked me up, they took my vitals, they hooked me up to a machine. From the time I walked in the hospital to the time I was in front of a doctor was an incredible 10, 12 minutes. And she said, well, this can't be maintained. There could be chaos. And I said, you don't want to see me with chaos.
This can be maintained? Like our level of care?
This heartbeat can't be maintained.
Okay.
Oh, no. You can't maintain this heartbeat. And she said, so we're going to try first something called the vagal maneuver. And what it consists of is that these two nurses
eat a vagal with cream
are going
cheese?
to assist me. Or that's what it sounded like. Are going to assist me, and we're going to have you blow on a tube as hard as you can to the count of 10. And then between us, since you're laying flat while you're blowing on the tube, we're going to lift your legs and your feet so that they're higher than your head. And we'll see if that stops the heartbeat, because there are connections in your lungs and your blah and your heart and this and that. And I said to her, I swear to God, I said, are there bones and feathers involved in this? She thought that was funny.
But
and
also,
she
what a
said,
smart
no,
ass.
but,
Yes.
But if it doesn't work, and sometimes it doesn't, then we're going to give you some drugs, and we'll fix it that way. And you understand? I said, yeah. So she gave me what essentially was the tube from a needle, with the needle extracted. It was like almost like a test tube. Blow on this as hard as you can. And she said at one point, as if you're constipated. And she was a little embarrassed by
funny.
that. And I looked, and I said to her, you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to say that. That's embarrassing. No, I didn't say that. I said, I got it. So I went ahead and did it. I'm lying on my back. Kind of, my head's up a little bit because I'm blowing. And counted to 10. Two of these people lifted my feet over my head on the bed. My heart rate cut in half immediately. And I haven't had an issue since. I've gone to a cardiologist, and he said, because you had a lung issue and you were recovering from that and you had such a bad cough, your coughing and your lack of oxygen and your muscles that you were pulling have a direct impact on the heart. And that plus
your feet.
I said, So there's some nerve called the vagal nerve,
Yeah.
vagal nerve or vagal nerve, that goes from your heart to, I think, your lung
In your brain,
area,
yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
does the trick. And so I thought I told you this. You would remember it if I told you this.
I think I
This
would,
was
but
a
also
month
I
ago.
don't remember.
Of course, we
our
missed
talks.
a bunch of episodes.
That's kind of wild. Huh.
Well, I am thrilled with the thought of going into the new year in the 200th more episodes
Indeed.
of this. As I promised, I've been working on this tune for a while, and it's only fitting that we close out
The year.
2024
No pressure.
with a song that's simply called Richland.
Richland. All right.
No.
Sorry.
Take it easy. It's not a dance tune. You won't be surprised to learn that it is a dance tune. You're making it sound like a drum, a double drum, and I'm looking for flashing lights. That's the wrong vibe. So why don't you just calm the fuck down and react a little bit to what you do these podcasts standing up. That's too much energy. I don't. Well, here's to the 2023, 2024, and
Yes.
to our good buddy Mike Masterson.
God bless everyone from 2023.
We fought like tigers every day. Each day's tides changed and stoked the fray. I hated you, but hate me worse. My love for you is such a curse. Since you left, it's lonely misery. I hold your picture, tears out the heart of me. My love for you is such a curse. I hate myself even worse. I'm so miserable since you're gone. It's almost like you never left. I'd have you back if you had me. I'll bring the gloves, you bring the repartee. We'll fight like hell, then make sweet love. It's so worse than now. Then what will be is such a curse. I'll hate myself even worse. I'm so miserable since you're gone. It's almost like you never left. I'll have you back if you'd have me. I'll bring the gloves, you bring the repartee. I'm higher than a doctor's bill. I've not paid them and never will. The cuts and scrapes and battle marks are the price I paid for our painful spark. So please come back to my bruised arms. It won't be good, it's just a step up. I promise you this, my true love. I'm so miserable since you're gone. I'd have you back if you'd have me. I'll bring the gloves, you bring the repartee. I'm so miserable since you're gone. It's almost like you never left.
Beautiful, beautiful. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
I'm higher than a doctor's bill.
I like that line.
I've not paid them and never will. The cuts and scrapes and battle marks are the price I pay for our painful spark. Huh.
Indeed.
Here's to you, bro.
Love you, man. See you next year.
Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Ba-da-da-da-da.
Feliz Navidad.
Ba-da-da-da-da. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
All right, that's it for episode number 201. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/201, where I have put the lyrics that my AI editing tool transcribed from Dennis's singing just now. And that's the end of 2023 for us. It's been a great year. We'd love some support at patreon.com/happyhour. See you next year.